Now we're talking child safety first up tonight. Let's face facts. Fitting a car seat isn't an easy job, so some retailers offer professional advice to parents. But over the last couple of months, we've been undercover investigating how some of the biggest names on the high street have no idea what they're doing. And we found failures right across the industry. So if you think your child is safe just because their car seat was fitted for you, think again. This is my little boy, George. And as a parent, a new parent, you're really nervous about everything. Are they getting enough sleep? Are they eating the right things? And, of course, about how to bring them up. And most important of all, you want to make sure they're safe at all times. Hands in, George. Which is why, when it comes to car seats, it's crucial that they're fitted properly in the first place, and why so many of us buy our seats from a trusted store and ask staff to show us how to fit them. Because they're the experts, right? The people trained to fit your seat properly, to give you the peace of mind that your child is as safe as they possibly could be. Or so you'd expect. But we've discovered that some of those people that we trust the most to fit our seats properly are systematically getting it wrong. And not just slightly wrong, dangerously wrong. We sent undercover researchers into 5 of the UK's biggest high street retailers to test out their fitting services: John Lewis, Halfords, Toys R Us, Smiths and Mothercare. In total, we went to 50 stores across the country, visiting 10 branches of each retailer, all under the watchful eyes of Julie Dagnall and Claire Waterhouse from Child Seat Safety, experts in car seat fitting. For each retailer, we bought their basic, own-brand car seat and asked to use their advertised fitting service.
Is someone around to show me how it fits in the car?
Yeah.
It's a job they should be comfortable with, considering they all promise to show how to fit the seat safely and by trained staff.
Yeah, should be able to get that fitted for you.
All the seats we bought passed crash tests when fitted correctly, so staff need to be following the instructions for each seat exactly.
It's tested to be fitted as per the manufacturer's instructions. And that's how they pass the standard with it. That's how it's crash tested. If you do it differently, we don't know how it's going to react.
And it soon became clear many members of staff weren't entirely sure where to start.
Oh, this is a puzzle one. It's this bit here, I'm not sure what to do. Do you know what? I'm not so sure now.
And some missed crucial questions. 19 of the 50 stores across the retailers didn't even ask us about the age or weight of the child, something they should all be doing before a seat fitting. And once they got started, the mistakes came in thick and fast. These red guides are used to hold the shoulder straps safely in place, but these Halford stores told us it was to keep the harness out of the way.
And then what you can do is when you put the child in, you can hook this each side, put the child in.
These ones are just when you put her in the seat.
Both completely wrong. One even told us that using them the correct way makes the seat less secure.
A lot of parents use them for using the seat belts for them, and that's why the seat moves.
Those red guides show you where to route the seatbelt correctly, so they need to be followed. They're there to make sure in a collision it's going to react as it should do and keep the child safe.
Another essential part of fitting a seat is to make sure it's as tight as possible to the car. Keeping the car's headrest in can push the seat forward in some models, creating a gap. But 20 stores out of 50 across the retailers didn't actually tell us to remove the headrest when fitting the seat. The result? Huge gaps between the vehicle and the car seat.
It's dangerous because you've not got good contact between the back of the child's seat and the vehicle itself. It also means you've not got that seatbelt as tight as you possibly can. So removing the headrest will mean that the seat will fit much tighter. That is going to come forward with quite some force. Now, even that small amount of gap is going to mean that the child could travel further forward than necessary.
Another way of ensuring the seat is as tight as possible is to remove any slack from the seatbelt. But some staff members tried to tell us it's not supposed to be tight.
The seat's got a bit of movement, but not normally with the seat, it does have that movement. That seat, that's how it's designed, it moves a bit.
OK.
And a little bit of movement's fine, because if there's no movement, it could cause more damage than good.
I can't believe they've let them drive away like that.
Obviously, the seat needs to be as tightly fitted as possible. That's going to be quite loose. There's going to be a lot of movement in it. It's going to obviously cause the seat to react very badly in a collision. It's just frightening.
Throughout our visits, we saw a catalogue of errors, from smaller problems with belt twists to much more serious risks. And remember, this is from staff members who are supposedly trained to fit these seats safely. One particularly worrying fitting was shown to us by Smiths, who simply placed the belt loosely over the seat and told us this was secure enough.
Hang on, and then it's not moving. Only if it's tiny, but you can't help that.
I'm tempted to laugh, but I'm so frightened with the repercussions. You can't laugh, can you?
It angers me that he thinks that that's OK and that he'll send somebody away and let somebody's child sit in it. I wouldn't want my children sitting in that by any stretch of the imagination.
But by far the most serious mistakes were from stores that failed to securely fit all parts of the seat to the car. This Toys R Us store only secured the bottom of the seat, meaning there's nothing stopping the top coming forward in a collision. However, the worst examples we came across were from John Lewis and Mothercare, who put the belt in entirely the wrong place. Instead of securing the seat at the top and the bottom, they simply fed the belt through the back of the seat, only securing it in the middle.
Depending on what sort of collision you'd have, you could either have the whole seat tipping forward because you've only got one strength point there, or it could go underneath and the child could slide underneath with the seat. So who could say what sort of collision is going to occur? But in either case, something serious is going to happen.
So why are so many getting it wrong? Perhaps this John Lewis colleague has given us a clue.
All these other car seat suppliers, they come in and train us. And this is our own make. You would have thought somebody would come in to say, yeah, this is how you do your own make.
Yes. Well, at the end of our visits across the country, only one store out of 50, a John Lewis branch, got the fitting right. That's an astonishing 98% that failed to fit our seats correctly.
It's really worrying and upsetting that no parents are going to these people to get what they class as expert advice. They're being given the wrong advice, the seats are being fitted wrongly. There's no excuse.
We're putting our prized possessions, our children, in other people's hands, and we've clearly seen here that people don't know what they're doing.
That is really shocking. So 98% of the stores we went to got it wrong. And if you don't fit these seats properly, you cannot guarantee your child is safe.
Well, that is the point. You can't guarantee they're safe. So this is how a correctly fitted seat would react in a crash. It's still pretty frightening. You'll see there is some movement, but the seat has done the job of protecting the child.
So that's the seat that's being fitted correctly. I cannot begin to imagine what would happen if the seat hadn't been fitted properly. Yeah, that's why I went down to the Transport Research Lab in Berkshire to test it out. Remember, and I must stress this, there is absolutely nothing wrong with the seats themselves. With the help of crash test engineer Tanya Robinson, we recreated and tested the worst fittings from our 5 retailers as judged by our experts to see how they'd react in a 30-mile-an-hour crash. Now, first up is this demonstration we were shown by Halfords. They'd only secured the seat in 2 points, so it twisted on impact. According to Tanya, the child's head would just stop short of the seat in front, but a slightly heavier child could well make an impact. Next up, it's Smiths. Now, this was the demonstration where the staff member loosely placed the belt across the seat, then told us it was secure. As the belt is higher than it should be, a greater force is applied to the neck and chest of the child.
The force on the chest and the loading on the neck is about 30% higher than we might expect it.
All because it's been connected too high and it's too loose.
And too loose, yeah.
Next, it's the demonstration from Toys R Us. They only secured the seat at the bottom and had nothing holding it in place at the top. Something flew off there, didn't it?
The headrest flew off.
Oh, my goodness. Not only is there a risk of severe head injury from the impact with the seat in front, with no headrest in place, the child could also hit its head when it rebounds back to the seat. Now for the 2 most serious mistakes from our secret filming, where the seat was only secured in the middle. Recreating the John Lewis demonstration, this fitting means the base is able to move forward more than it should.
What this seat's actually doing is sliding rather than absorbing the energy, and the child is then being suddenly stopped and all the loading is going straight into the child.
So that little dummy, poor little dummy, is taking quite a lot of pressure on its chest.
So the higher the chest accelerations, the higher the risk of injury.
The Mothercare fitting performed even worse, though, because as well as only securing the seat in the middle, they also failed to tighten the seatbelt. And this was the result.
Ooh. I mean, that is horrific.
The child's now lying on its back. The seat base is almost hanging off the front of the bench. The obvious consequence of that is there's going to be some impact with the seat in front, by the legs, most probably.
On top of this, the rebound could lead to severe impact to the head and neck.
This is by far the most severe neck forces that we've seen. We also saw quite a large acceleration to the head, which can cause serious head injuries.
And this wasn't a bad accident. This is only about 30 miles an hour. And the seat is useless because it just hasn't been fitted properly.
It is. This is one of the worst tests that I've seen, and that's really down to the incorrect installation.
Well, I'm sure you'll all be relieved to know that all 5 retailers said they would review staff training or processes. Now, John Lewis is carrying out a full independent review and complete staff retraining programme. Mothercare is also reviewing training across its stores and says all of its car seat fittings will be signed off by a trained staff member with immediate effect. Now, Toys R Us are reviewing training and say as well as the demonstrations, they offer advice to customers when they first buy the seat. And Halford said it was confident in training but would review processes. And Smith says it's putting additional focus on staff training for car seats. Now, the best advice, pretty obvious, but if you have any concerns about the way your child's car seat is fit, is to go to the manual and follow the instructions very carefully. I, for one, have done just that, and I realised that I hadn't actually done poor old George's straps tight enough in his car seat, so I'm going to change that next week.